Yeah. So, whenever at a particular diagram in biology, I don't know if you have that imagination to look at a particular structure in 3 dimension, because whatever diagrams we show, they are usually 2 dimension. Now, let's assume, for example, this one. This is longitudinal section. That means, let's say you have I hope you all can see this bottle, right? You have this sample, and when you take a section from top to bottom, that is vertical section, that is what is longitudinal section, and cross section is across it. Like I will cut the bottle through middle or somewhere. So that is how they are different. Also, if you look at the cross section, you should be able to imagine that these are nothing but a tubular structures, right? Now, tubular in the sense need not mean necessarily that they are elongated tubes, but what it means is they are spherical or oval in shape. So now assume these are the parenchyma cells, right? And they are spheres in the sense like elongated spheres, or we can call them like oval shaped cell, like you can see here, right? They are little elongated cells. We also call them columnar cells. So if they are of that, and if you are taking section through it, like a horizontal section or cross section, you will see these things, right? A roundish like. Now, if you compare these two, they are drastically two different structures. So, not to get confused there, what the way I explain what is longitudinal and what is cross section, that should be very clear in your head, because sometimes we just like, I have a habit of speaking like it's a cross section, and then you should be able to imagine what is cross section. Cross section is also called as transverse. Trans means through, verse means across the boundary, right? Across the boundary, but through the structure. That is what is transverse. So we should be able to imagine those when we say of transverse section and longitudinal section. And again, these are not like a single plane structure, but they are like, you must have seen how bamboo tree they grow together, right? And if you just pull them together, that's what will look like your these structures. So these are like, imagine this is a individual bamboo like structure, and that is what you will see in the cross section. So I hope the analogy wise this part is clear. It is same for even collenchyma and sclerenchyma. They are nothing different, but except the structure of the individual cells, they are different, and their internal packing, right? So that is what this diagram shows. In addition, this diagram also shows something which is the very thick walls. We will see these structures, scleroids and so on later, what do they mean, and so on. But yeah, as of now, these are the parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma structures. Yeah, again, for your information, I have kept a slide in terms of what are the similar or different characteristics in all three. So you can go over it. This is just for your information. We need not spend time to go through it during the class. Yeah. And like I said, you already have an access, so you can go through this anytime you want. Okay, now, so this was whole part of the simple permanent tissue. We had seen meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. In meristematic, we had seen different types like the cambium or lateral and so on. And in permanent tissue, there were two types. One was simple permanent, and the second was complex permanent tissue. In simple permanent, we had seen parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Now we are going to look at the complex permanent tissue. Now, just to quickly give you overview of what this complex permanent tissue, and then we will individually go into details of this, is there are these two main complex permanent tissue, that is xylem and phloem, which you have already heard of. Now, if you have to simply imagine what xylem is and phloem is. Now, when we were looking at the meristematic tissue or simple permanent tissue, we know they were present at mostly the growing tips, that was meristematic, and the older parts of the tree, that was your simple permanent tissue over the time, right? Now, where would this complex permanent tissue would be present? So like I had mentioned in yesterday's class, they are collectively called as vascular bundles. Why vascular bundles? Because they are performing a function of transport. Both, that is xylem as well as phloem, they are doing the function of transporting something. What they transport is drastically different, but both of them collectively, they are the transport system of the plant body. So in case of xylem, it helps in transport of dissolved substances and water through the plant. Dissolved substances means, let's say a root is absorbing something from the soil, and those will be the dissolved substances in terms of ammonia or ammonium compounds, or certain minerals like magnesium, calcium, and so on. So those will be the dissolved substances, and water is obviously absorbed by the roots. We are going to see that in the absorption by roots, how does the root help in absorption of the water. But yeah, so xylem helps in the transport of dissolved substances and water throughout the plant, that is all through the plant structure. So it starts from the root, it goes all the way until the leaf structure. That's how like long tubular structures they are. The diverse component of xylem include, now xylem is not a type of single type of cell, it has different components, right? So for example, when we talk of a digestive system, we have stomach, we have intestine, and so on, right? Similarly, and if you go further within the layers of stomach or intestine, you will have different components. So this is also something like this. Or let's, if I have to do a correct analogy, xylem is something like blood vessels, right? Your blood vessels has different layers or different type of cells and different types of muscles present in it. Similarly, in plant also, these xylem and phloem, they are made up of certain components. They are called as xylem vessels, the tracheids, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. We will see all these components, so you will get more clarity on this. But like I said, these are the components of the xylem tissue. The moment we say tissue, that means it's a one or more type of cells, and that is where this xylem tissue is composed of different types of these components. Xylem fibers and tracheids, they are made up of lignin. Again, this part we will see, so I skip it here. In terms of phloem, most important difference is it is the transport of food all through the plant. This was transport of water and dissolved substances. This is transport of food. Now food cannot be carried in a dry state in a plant, right? It has to be dissolved in water. So this is food along with water, because imagine after the process of photosynthesis in the leaf has synthesized quite a lot of glucose. That glucose will get dissolved in water, and that will be carried to different parts of the plant, so that those cells can also sustain. So it is the transportation of the food along with water. And the components of phloem, like xylem has certain components, phloem also has certain components. They are called phloem fibers, sieve tubes, phloem parenchyma, and companion cell. So there will be some type of parenchyma who will let the xylem and phloem tissue survive doing metabolic activities, and structurally they have to be fibers present, because these are tubular structures, so obviously long fibers will be present, and we will see what these two structures are. So if I have to show you the xylem and phloem, now this is the simplified version of xylem and phloem. That is again a longitudinal section. That means they have taken out the one xylem fiber and or xylem vessel, and they have cross sectioned it, and that is what they have shown here. This is the phloem part. So I will not go into the details of this diagram as of now. I had shown this diagram earlier also, but the reason I have kept it here is to let you know that, let's say something is getting absorbed from here, right, from the root system. It has to get transported throughout until the leaf, because leaves are the one that they need this water, they need these nutrients or minerals which are absorbed from the soil, right? So that has to be carried, and that particular function is done by the xylem tissue. And if you see, leaf also has it. You vascular bundle is shown here. So this is the central, like those veins that you see on the leaf structure, they are nothing but a vascular bundle, right? So let's say this is the cross section of the leaf. Like you can see what the cross section means here. In this says there is a leaf, and it has been like it has taken a transverse section or a cross section. So this is the middle vein or the main vein of the leaf structure, which has this xylem and phloem tissue. And there will be smaller of these veins which will again have some xylem and phloem tissue, and they are in continuation. Let's say from this leaf, they will be in this pedicel like structure or the stem part of the leaf. Then they will enter into this main branch. Then xylem phloem will continue throughout this stem, and it will be continuing with the roots as well. So if you look at here, stem also has it. These individual oval structures, they are the xylem and phloem tissue. They are called as vascular bundle. And even in the roots, if you see, there is xylem and phloem. So they are like these tube-like structures. You can see in the diagram and also what I had shown earlier. These tube-like structure, they are present from the root till the tip of the leaf. So I hope location wise it is clear where they are present and how they function. We will see what are the components, we'll see. But until and unless we do not understand where they are located, it will be difficult to imagine their function. Yeah. So like I said, it's a continuous tube. Like again, from my heart, the particular vein or artery goes to the uh, toe of my leg, right? That is a continuous tube line which has several branches at several places. Something similar, though these xylem phloem, they do not have several branches until and unless the plant itself has too many branches, right? Otherwise, let's say if this plant is just one stick-like structure, then it will have only straight xylem and phloem structure. It's that simple to imagine. Okay. Does anyone have any question with respect to the structure here? People. Okay. So I would imagine. Oh, yeah, thank you. So I imagine no one else has any other question as well. So then moving to the actual xylem part, again some basic information. This was coined by this gentleman called Nageli, because he was doing a lot of research on this transport tissues or conducting tissues of the plant, and he has coined this xylem tissue. So the function of xylem, like I mentioned, is to conduct water and mineral salts upward from the roots and to stems and the leaves, and to give mechanical strength to the plant body. Now, how does it give mechanical strength to plant body? Can someone imagine that and explain? How do you think it would help in maintaining the mechanical strength? Uday, what do you think? I'll come back to you, Shrihita. Mr. Uday. Okay. Yes, Shrita.
Yeah, so then because it is like elongating all through the plant, that will help it be erect and support it.
Yeah, it's simple, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously the structure or those transport tissues or those tube-like structures. They are filled with water. So obviously they are going to have certain rigidity because of the presence of water inside. Plus, they have a little thicker tissue which are able to sustain the rigidity of the xylem tissue, and that's how it will maintain the mechanical strength. So these are the two main functions of the xylem. Now, most important part or the difference between xylem and phloem is also the movement of water from where to where. Now, like we know, there is only one way that water can get absorbed from roots to the leaves. It cannot come from leaves to the roots, because obviously leaves, where will they absorb the water from? There is only little bit of moisture in the environment. It cannot be absorbed by the leaves to the extent that it will provide it to the roots. So there is only one way for xylem to conduct the water from roots to the stem. So the movement of water in the xylem tissue is unidirectional. Yeah, something again, most of the students, they get confused between these things, and I always say try to remember it logically, what is present where and what is the function. You should have your own answers for those questions. So for conduction of water, the depth of protoplasm is must. Now again, this is something a little complicated. Protoplasm, proto means earlier, plasm refers to, you all know, cytoplasm, right? When the cytoplasm when the cell is about to form or about to get make a new cell, that earlier version of cytoplasm is called as protoplasm, right? So it's nothing different than cytoplasm. It just called, like how we call a baby and an adult. Like, so the protoplasm is like a baby and cytoplasm is like an adult which is well grown. So depth of protoplasm is must for the conduction of water. Now you would imagine why. So the xylem tissue, they are hollow from inside, like they have empty spaces, or what we call in scientific language, they have lumen inside. Lumen. Lumen is the empty cavity within every tube. There is always a lumen or empty cavity. So to have that empty cavity, the inner mass, whatever it was present inside those cells, has to die or has to go away. So that is what it means by, for conduction of water, the death of protoplasm is must. Death again does not literally mean it has to die. It's already a non-living thing, at least the cytoplasm, because and the moment I say this, it means that they are all different molecules. They don't have life. A cell together has a life, but the molecules within the cytoplasm, they don't have life. So the death does not mean that from living to dead. It just means they have to go away. And the dead tissues, they are more developed in water scarce condition, and these kind of situations, they occur when there is scarcity of the water. But again, like I said, we need not go into that detail. You should just understand how they were, the xylem tissue were formed. That was because of the death of the protoplasm of certain cells over the time. Now, on the basis of origin of xylem, it is divided into primary and secondary. Origin in the sense where they are present and where they are growing from. That is from procambium. Again, pro in biology does not mean like how you say, oh, you are pro bro, not that pro. This pro means this actually is the origin of, or the earlier version of, a particular structure or particular characteristic, right? So procambium means when the plant is about to sprout and grow into a little bigger along its growth time, earlier version of cambium is called as procambium. Pro means earlier. So that is primary xylem. And the secondary xylem is obviously going to grow from the procambium. So that is the your actual vascular cambium. So if I go back to the diagram here, let's say assume this plant was just sprouting. So this structure will not be directly developed, right? There will be a vascular bundle like this together, and then slowly as and when it grows. Now this, though this is root and stem we are talking, but earlier version of the procambium will look something like this. That is all the vascular bundle, that is xylem and phloem tissue, they are together, and slowly over the growth of the plant they will go on separating and they will form a ring like structure like this. So this we can call as procambium specifically. And here that is what is vascular cambium, because it is present with the vascular bundle, it is called as vascular cambium. I hope the difference between primary and secondary xylem is clear. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me. Uh, there are another two types of xylems which are on the basis of the development of the primary xylem. So before, like from procambium, it develops into protoxylem and metaxylem. Again, proto refers to earlier version. So pro and proto, they are nothing different but the same thing. So procambium or protoxylem, like from the procambium structure, this xylem will be developed, and that is what will be called as protoxylem. I hope you are understanding this difference between cambium. These are the general cells which gives rise to xylem and phloem tissue, or the secondary growth of the plant, that is the branching point. And from this there will be protoxylem and metaxylem. Protoxylem is the earlier version of the xylem. Metaxylem is the older version of the xylem. That is what also there is a little difference. Protoxylem is little smaller, metaxylem is little bigger because it has grown sufficiently over the time. Okay, let me ask you, is this part confusing, or is this, have you understood it?
Yeah, sir.
Yes. Prakriti, are you there?
Yes.
Understood?
Yeah.
Again, yeah, Shrihita, you want to say something?
So I'm not understanding this. So now procambium becomes protoxylem.
Procambium becomes protoxylem, correct? Not all of it, but right. This is something like you consider a developmental stages. So procambium is the kind of tissue which is going to give rise to the secondary tissues or secondary structures of the plant. Secondary structures means, like we had seen, primary growth, which is just like a sprout and the growing tip, and the secondary growth would be like a branches, right? So procambium is present in the earlier versions of the plants, that is when the plant is very small, and they will differentiate some part of those procambium, or some cells of those procambium will develop into protoxylem, and those protoxylem cells will differentiate further into metaxylem. So that's how the sequence of event is.
So then vascular cambium has no relation with protoxylem and metaxylem.
Now vascular cambium is, procambium was at the earlier stages. Vascular cambium comes into picture in much later stages of the plant growth.
So vascular cambium is present in the secondary growth, like the branches.
Correct. So in all these cases, whether it's a primary xylem or secondary xylem, let's assume this is the growing part of the tissue and this is already grown part of the tissue. Forget the stem and root part. Structurally, they are almost similar. Let's assume this was the earlier version of the plant, which is cross section here, and this is the older version of the plant. Yeah. Now, this will have protoxylem and metaxylem, which is coming from the procambium. This will also have protoxylem and metaxylem, which is coming from the vascular cambium. Did you get this now? because this will have protoxylem. Protoxylem is the earlier version of the xylem. Let's say at the center they are all protoxylem. As this stem will start growing, this protoxylem will keep moving towards the sides. It will differentiate and it will form metaxylem. And at the center, the new protoxylems will keep coming. And then it keeps growing. Similarly, here also, the inner parts of the vascular bundle will have will have protoxylem, and the outer parts of the xylem tissue will have metaxylem. And that is coming from this vascular cambium, which are these dark lines in the center of these oval structures. I hope this is clear to everyone. But again, like I say, this, if you want a long-term memory of this, you have to understand it logically, and just by understanding for now or understanding the statements, you may not have that memory part. So it's best that you ask questions if there are any doubts. Okay, now coming to the elements of xylem. Now, like I said, or the components of xylem, we had seen there were several elements. One is tracheids, the xylem vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. We will see all of these one by one. Again, this particular part is not in so much detail in your syllabus, but I guess I felt this was necessary for you to make understand these concepts. So if you don't understand something, please do stop me and ask questions there. So these tracheids, these are the primitive conducting tissues or conducting elements of the xylem. That is, these are the main components which conducts the whatever function of the xylem does. Now, we had seen that the whole of the region of, let's say, stem or a leaf has different types of tissue. One of the tissue in vascular bundle is xylem. One of the component of xylem is tracheid. Yeah. So do not get confused between what is what and what is like why there are so many terminologies. So these are the subcomponents of tissues. Tracheids, they are unicellular. Remember, xylem was multicellular because it's a tissue. Tracheids, they are unicellular and having a narrow lumen. Narrow lumen means a short diameter of the tube. But the lumen of the tracheid is wider than the fibers. So like the xylem fibers are also there, which are a little wider than these tracheids. So tracheids, they are unicellular and having a narrow lumen. Again, they can have narrow lumen only and only when they are column-like cells or tube-like cells, right? Tracheids, they have large lumen as compared to fibers. They join together from their ends to form the long roots. Now, if I have to show you this, like if you look at this particular structure, tracheids, these are individually, these are the tracheid cells, right? If you see this brownish yellow color, this one cell which is column like, these are the tracheids or tracheid cells, and they are arranged end to end. That means this cell on the left side, this will end, and immediately at that end the second cell of the tracheid will start. So that's how they are arranged with each other so that they can form a continuous tubular structure or a long row of cells. These rows extending from roots via stem to the leaves. Like I said, xylem is present from root tips to the leaf. So they will be extending throughout this whole plant length. A transverse septum. Like septum refers to a kind of layer or kind of wall. Like let's say we call it partition in common language. We say it's partition. So a transverse septum lies between each two tracheids. Again, what does this mean? At the end of this tracheid, at the end of this tubular cell, there will be a septum or a partition between these two cells. That is the upper cell and lower cell. That is what it means. So a transverse septum or a partition is present between two tracheids. It bears some pits. Pits are nothing but like a holes, and the water moves from one tracheid to another tracheid through these pits. So obviously this septum has certain holes, and through those holes the water will keep moving from one side to the other. And due to the presence of this transverse septum, the lumen is discontinuous. Discontinuous because there is a blockage, right? The septum or the partition is a kind of blockage, and that is why it is said as the lumen is discontinuous. Rather, it is not complete. Like whenever you have that water pipe, it has complete hollow portion inside. But in the case of tracheid, that is not the case, and that is why it is being said that it is discontinuous. And tracheids, these are dead and lignified cells. So over the time, they become dead and they just remain as a structure or physical structure. And they have lignified cells. That means their cell wall contains lot of lignin, which is one of the polymer compound, and that is what makes it very stiff as well. So the deposition of lignin on the cell wall is responsible to form different types of thickening. So that thickness is because of the lignin. And the pits are unlignified areas on the lignified wall. And these holes which are present on this transverse septum or the partition, they are not lignified. They are completely free of lignin, but the side walls, they are made up of lignin. Yeah, so that is trachea. Moving forward with xylem vessel, I'm not stopping for question, but if you have, you can ask. So with xylem vessel, it is advanced conducting element of xylem. Now this was also conducting element, this is also conducting element vessels. Now you might wonder why it needs two different types of conducting element. It's nothing but just a structural deformity. Structural deformity means different types of structures being present in one type of tissue. So that's why there are two different types of these conducting elements. The basic structure of vessel is same as tracheids. It's not different. The lumen of vessel is wide than the tracheids. So vessels, they are little wider than the tracheids, and this we can see in this diagram as well. So xylem vessels, if you see, they have quite bigger diameter than these tracheid cells. Again, imagine this as a three-dimensional structure. These are the small pipe-like structure with partition, and these are again a bigger pipe-like structure, which are called as xylem vessels. So the lumen of vessel is wider than the tracheids, and the end wall is perforated. The transverse septum is absent between two vessel elements. So there in xylem vessel, there is no septum. It is continuous throughout. Like I said, it's a continuous water pipe, something like that, but it has the end walls. On the both ends of the xylem vessel, there will be this wall present, which is called end wall, and it is perforated. Perforated means again there will be holes or there will be pores. That is what is perforated. And if at all this septum is present, then it is porous, right? That is what it says. So the transverse septum is absent between two vessel elements. If present, it is porous. In some of the cases it might be porous, because depending on what type of plant it is, whether it's a big tree, how old is the xylem vessel, and so on, those factors will determine this. But if at all this transverse septum is present in xylem vessel, it will be a porous in nature. Thus the vessels, they are capable for more conduction of water than tracheids. It's a common logic. Bigger the pipe, bigger ability or a higher ability to conduct more water. So due to the presence of perforated end wall, the vessel work as pipeline during the conduction of water. Again, a common like meaning of this. Vessels, they contain usually simple pits at their lateral wall. Simple pits, if there has to be certain like branching points, that's when these transfer pits are present. So let's say, for example, this is the xylem vessels, and there has to be one xylem vessel tissue which has to grow towards the branch. In that case, obviously, there will be a pit at that particular position. So that is what this line says. And the thickening type of wall is same as tracheids. So this xylem vessel, they also have lignified walls, and the thickness is something similar. Okay, now do you have any question here in tracheids and the xylem vessels? Again, I can imagine that this might sound like too many things, but just go by like simplicity of the structure is nothing but xylem tracheids. These are columnar cells, tubular cells. They have septum in between, which is perforated. They have lignified wall, and this conducts the water. Similarly, there is xylem vessel which has a bigger diameter or bigger lumen, no transverse septum as such, but if at all it is present, it will again be porous, and the xylem vessel has the end wall, that is the transverse septum like structure present at the end of the tube. So that's it, the tracheid and the xylem vessel. Now I will just go over these two and then I will stop for the class. So xylem fibers, these xylem fibers, they provide the strength tracheids and vessels. So xylem fibers, they are nothing but they are holding the structure of the tracheid and the vessel like structure. Now you imagine you have a big pipe of plastic, like water pipe, and you attach like a, let's say, what you say, the iron rod like structure to support it. So that supporting structure is nothing but like a xylem fiber, because pipe is kind of fluid, it will just bend anywhere it gets due to gravity and stuff. So if it has to stand, it needs a supporting structure, and that is what is something like xylem fibers, which provide strength to the tracheids and vessels. Mainly these fiber provide strength through the vessels. Obviously when the vessels, they are bigger ones, like obviously they will need more support compared to these tracheids, which are relatively thinner, and they are present more abundantly in the secondary xylem. Secondary xylem in the sense, the xylem which has grown in the older trees. So that's what is the secondary xylem. So that's what is xylem fiber, nothing but the supporting structure for the tracheids and vessel, that is fibers. Then the xylem parenchyma, the fourth component of the xylem. Its cell wall is made up of cellulose like regular cell, stores the starch, fats and tannins. That is the function of these parenchyma cells. The radial conduction of water is the function of xylem parenchyma. Now, radial conduction refers to, let's say, we have a tube. Prakriti, I will come back. Let me finish this. So we have a tube-like structure, like vertical tube, and across the section, let's say water is flowing through the tube, and the water percolates, right? Water goes through the walls of this tube. That is what is radial conduction of the water. Transport of water will be, let's say, either from top to bottom, or from top to bottom, or bottom to top, either ways, right? But there will be also transport to the sides, and that is what is mean by radial conduction along the radius of the circle. That is the radial conduction of the water through xylem parenchyma. It conducts water to the peripheral part of the plant organ. Let's say, I'll go back to this diagram. Let's say this is the like the xylem tissue here, and this yellow part around this xylem tissue also needs water, right? So that's when this radial conduction, which is on the sides towards the inner side or towards the outer side of the stem, that to conduct water, the xylem parenchyma is most important, and their walls possesses pits, that is nothing but the porous structure, and that is the reason why the parenchyma is allowed to conduct that water. Okay, yes, Prakriti.
Yeah, sir, I wanted to know what tannin is.
Tannin,
Said it's good.
so you are asking me chemically what they are, or what exactly they are in general?
Yeah, what exactly are they?
Okay, so tannins, these are the polymer compounds which are naturally occurring polymer compounds. Like, let's say for example, if you drink tea, and on the tea, if you keep it for a while, there is a layer, right? Creamy layer that forms on the tea. That is nothing but your tannin, or which also give a kind of uh, like that grainy taste. That is tannin. Like I had said about betel nut yesterday, that these are all nothing but the tannin like compounds. So they are like, let me just quickly show you, you will understand it. I will stop sharing because anyway we are done with this part. I will go back here. Let me show you. Where is, again I have to share screen. Why did I stop?